Well, if the viral and seemingly random phrase 6'7" is sending you over the edge as a parent, well, just imagine what it's like to be a teacher right now, and bonus points if you teach a 6'7" split class.
In that same year, they said it was a no-no. Baloo taught me better from the Jungle Book.
But instead of plugging their ears, our next guests embraced the trend and have incorporated it into their lessons. They call themselves hip-hop educators, and this isn't their first foray into blending learning with rhyme. Joining us live this morning, Andrew Gerge, Chase March, and Michael Gransu, the hip-hop educators. Gents, thanks for being here this morning. Good to talk about this. Michael, I'll start with you. The idea of taking 6'7", which drives a lot of parents and teachers kind of up the bend, but gets a lot of students' attention. Where did you get the idea to sort of put the song together and then try to incorporate it into teaching?
Well, I actually have to slide that to Chase. That was Chase's the brainchild of that particular song.
So Chase, go ahead, take it away.
Thanks. I was tired of 6'7", just like what it doesn't mean anything. So I'd ask my students, what does it mean? And they couldn't explain it, and they just acted like I was crazy, like I didn't know what I was talking about. So then at the end of the day one day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make it mean something. What if we did a song about 1967 instead? So I went to the thrift store, I found a record from 1967, sampled it to make the beat, and got these two guys on the song, and we talked about 1967, dropped a bunch of historical references and some Canadian ones, and made the video, and it's catching on.
All right, and it's a big year. 1967 is a significant year as well. So Andrew, what's your involvement here? How did you get online?
I pretty much was along for the ride here. He came up with the idea, pitched it to the rest of the group. We thought it was kind of neat to jump on this kind of topic. I wrote a few bars, sent it to him. He liked it. And then came right over to my house. We recorded the track, and this is it right here.
What's the response been then?
Well, it's been amazing. The students really engaged. The first time we played the song, the first couple seconds they were laughing and silly and giggling. But then as it settled into the second verse and getting a little deeper into it, it was pin drops, really quiet. You could really hear that they were zoning in and connecting to it. And then also to shout out Wisecrack, he made a remix version of it too, with the lyrics actually on the screen. So we then watched the remix version, and dead silence. Everybody's reading, trying to understand everything, so they were really engaged.
And it's almost a trick, isn't it, to teach them by song, by catching, like sort of catching out of the zeitgeist of whatever 6'7" is, but it's also getting the kids' attention and getting them to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way. It's just, I don't necessarily look at it as a trick, just a way to engage the students, just to teach a lesson about rhyming couplets, things like that. You know, get them involved in the poetry in an interesting way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Were you
we got to find a hook, something that connects with them. And I want to shout out Sham. Like a couple days before Chase even mentioned the idea of the song, one of my students at the end of the day, we're waiting for the bell. She's like, do you know any Gen Z slang? I'm like, no. And then she taught me about clock it. She taught me about 6'7", and then just the timing lined up, because a few days later, Chase was like, yo, let's do a song on 6'7", and I'm like, I think this was meant to be, right?
Yeah, and Chase, this is not the first time you've sort of incorporated rhyme into teaching. Can you give us a bit of like how you realized it clicked the first time and why you continue to do it then?
Well, when you're hip hop, it's just kind of in you to do, right?
Yeah.
So I was an instrumental music teacher, and every year I do a different genre of music. And I did blues one year, and I was like, let's do hip hop. So I started using it in the classroom. I had like kind of a hip hop choir. I taught them a song, but instead of singing, we were rapping. And then we started doing some of our own writing. And it's really cool just to be able to bring this into the classroom, because it's kind of the first time in history where, you know, parents and students like the same kind of music.
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
So like my dad didn't like rap music, but he liked a few of the artists that I started to like. So even though some of the kids are listening to different artists than we may be listening to, we can still find a way to connect with them and bring in that youth culture and have an effect in the classroom.
Yeah, what have you seen, Andrew, personally?
In a similar way, I run a rap and poetry club at the school where I get the kids involved in writing their own rhymes, writing their bars, making their own beats, and then bringing it together as a song. So it's just a neat way to teach poetry, get them performing in a new kind of way. So
it's pretty inspiring, isn't it, Michael, to see the connection you've been able to make here and making, you know, the language, the words, the music relevant to students.
Most definitely, and it goes two ways, inspiration, because it's not just about them studying our music. We give them challenges to write their own rhymes on certain topics. And I was blessed to perform with a couple of our students at the When Faith Meets Pedagogy, a big conference of all Ontario Catholic schools. And just before we were about to go on, I was kind of tired. And the students themselves, they rallied the troops. They said, yo, let's practice. Let's run it again. Let's run it again. And that sparked my battery. So it goes both ways, the inspiration.
That's amazing. Hey, you guys are an inspiring cast of characters. I really appreciate you joining us this morning. Do we do a 6-7 before we go?
Sure.
Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
6-7.
Stay great.
There we go. All right, that's a great conversation. Thank you all for being here. We're back with more breakfast.